one platform that provides economic viability through job creation, thereby giving which is where the National Film Video Censors Board plays a major role. It is the regulatory body set up by Act number 85 of the 1993 to regulate films and video industry in Nigeria. The board is empowered by law to classify all films and videos, whether imported or produced locally. The board also has various functions, some of which include to license a person to exhibit films and video works, to censor and classify films and video works, to regulate and prescribe safety precautions to be observed in licensed premises, among other functions. In a country like Nigeria, where content generation are produced on daily basis, both traditionally and digitally, we sought to find out how has the board been able to effectively carry out its mandate, especially with present digitization drive. How has it been able to provide an enabling environment for the growth of the film industry through its activities? Our focus on platform today will be creative industry and national growth. Our guest is the Executive Director of National Film and Video Censors Board, Mr. Adedayo Thomas. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll just take you through a bit of his profile. Mr. Adedayo Thomas presently is serving his second tenure of 4 years. He was first appointed in March 30th, 2017 as the Executive Director of the board. Now, he is a journalist, a liberal politician, and economic advocate. He's also a publisher, theatre artistic critic. He's a very strong critic at that, and a philanthropist with strong belief in free market economy, peace and prosperity of the nation, of course. He is the Executive Director or Publisher of African Liberty Organization for Development, ALOD. He is also the African Regional Director of Language of Liberty Institute, USA, at the Initiative for Public Policy Analysis, IPPA. He is the Director of Research and Operations. He has also worked at the International Press Center, Ogba, Lagos, as the production editor. I want to leave this profile here because it's a handful, actually. Mr. Adedayo Thomas, you have done so much for yourself.
Thank you so much.
Recommend all your good works.
Thank you.
All right, we have a panelist on platform, and it's no other than our correspondent here, one of our correspondents, Adebola Brookslyn. Thank you very much for joining us on platform.
Thank you for having me, Ruth.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Thomas, we're looking at creative industry and national growth, and you are at the helm of affairs. When we look at our film industry, if you want to give us a picturesque view based on your assessment, what would you say? I know the Nollywood prides itself as one of the biggest around the world, which we are all proud of. But when it comes to content generation, it's a whole lot for the creative minds. What would be your assessment?
I can only assess. I only assess from, let's say, 2017 till date. I mean the progression, but before that.
That is under your watch.
Yes.
Okay.
Before that, because it took the president some time to study what is wrong with the industry and what should be corrected. And then that was, by the time he was satisfied with the research and every other analysis, I think that was when he attempted in 2017, he deemed me fit to appoint me. And between that time, it has not been easy, but then we made a drastic change and overhauling of the industry. I must, in the first place, thank the President, Muhammad Buhari, for appointing me to Alhaji Lai Mohammed, my supervising boss, Minister of Information and Culture, for giving us the free hand to do what we think it is right, and for supporting in all the positive venture based on the constitutional right of the industry. The creative industry is, I will be focusing more on the film industry. The creative industry is divided into some other sector, but sincerely speaking, between the film industry takes between 70 to 85% of the creative industry. And in 2017, when we started, in the first place, there is nothing you do that you think it is highly positive without looking back at the staff. So we have to build the capacity from all the centers and all the zones, because we have our presence in all.
The assessment sitting there, you know, what would you say are the kind of movies we produce?
Well, it's been fantastic. I must tell you that the creative energy of the people in the film industry is so high that it goes beyond assessment. Between 2016, take for example, we've been able to move to the second in terms of content creation, and of course world over known. After Hollywood now, it's not longer Bollywood or China.
Bollywood,
It is after Hollywood is Nollywood, and there is no film circle in the world discussion in terms of production, in terms of economic values and GDP, that Nigeria is not placed at the center. As a matter of fact, if we are not there, discussion has to be shifted. Wow. And that's how far we have moved. Let me take streamers, because you talk about people, what is it called? People churning out content on a daily basis. Asabe alone can produce 2,000 films in a week. And they produce, for now, they produce about 200, 300 films within 2 days or thereabout. But then we don't give those ones assessments, because until it comes to be censored and classified. But on the back sheet of looking at what is happening, if we go into the higher one, let's say streamers, between 2000 should invest or not to invest. But in 2017, by the time we straighten in with the policy and activeness of our of National Film and Video Censors Board, Netflix, for example, has invested 9 billion, well over 9 billion, almost 10 billion between 1917 and to date.
2017.
To date.
Okay.
Wow.
And the 9 billion has a multiplier effect. So if we start looking at figures and looking at what it has generated, that means only that streamer has produced well, or has invested, or the outcome will have been times 20, times 30, times 50. Last year we held a digital conference for the first time, because since it's a moving trend, so there is a need for us to look at the challenges, the opportunities, and discuss with the stakeholders, which I always do. So we looked into it for the first time last year. As at that time, Netflix has acquired 100 films, standard films, that reached the first to 10 last year. But this year, we just finished the second round, and by the time we look at the figures, it's well over 200.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just ask you. One thing is to have this, you called it creative energy, which is being dissipated every minute, every hour. One thing is to create content, another is quality.
Yes.
Can you compare what we produce here in terms of maybe scripting, the plots and everything? In fact, the quality of the pictures, the rating with what we have in Hollywood, which we are second to.
Well, you see, the quality fine, but you see, there must be an output of a particular period.
Okay.
And the output is what determines what next. So if you are looking at the progression in terms of quality, it's been perfect.
Fine.
A couple of our films has gone in fact, it's being watched more outside the country than in Nigeria. And big streamers don't accept less quality of films. So if in a year we're looking at between 1,000 to 2,000 films that is being censored and classified, and only of the streamers, only Netflix has taken 200.
Wow.
So it shows how well we have grown, because we're fast at learning. We don't say there are other one they produce, from the less quality they produce, they increase. And of course, the president too has graciously given us through, and all of this sector.
You're talking about investors now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the progression we have in terms of investor, talking about the number of cinemas you met and what?
But today we have, as at today, screens around the country, although it is not enough, because fantastic. The attendance in cinema has been very fantastic. Couple of about 2 years ago, we have the largest cinema, one single screen. It comes to musical shows and things like that.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, from what you're saying, no doubt, they have termed the creative industry as the new oil, so to say, because in terms of economic viability, we're seeing the progress. But movie or content generation has to do with professionalism, because you have to project the national image, talking about Nigeria image positively. And we have a lot of movies that are streamed online. We have the Netflix, we have Iroko TV and all of that. And I know Netflix, from what you're saying, are top in the chart. How do you regulate? Because you're in charge of censorship and classifications. So how do you regulate these movies to ensure that there are no stereotyping, so to say, of the Nigerian image?
Yeah, you see, it's not over until it's over. We're regulatory body, we're regulatory industry, we're like semi-police, and that gives me an opportunity again to thank the Nigerian police for their cooperation with us in terms of monitoring and evaluation. See, if you look at the trend of what is being produced, I'll say we don't have that enough capacity to monitor everything. But even at that, the ones we do are already standard, because there is no way you bring out something on this thing without us noticing. And we equally want the parents and the guidance as well to assist us. We are all police in a different field. To watch what our children looks into, to guide them. There are parental guides on phone. So those ones that are not classified that you see flying around, as of today, we've been able to come into collaboration with Google, Netflix, Prime Time, TikTok.
What about Amazon?
Amazon and even YouTube. Facebook. We're trying to do something with Facebook. But these ones that I've mentioned, what normally happen, even they don't have the capacity to monitor about 3,000 moving short scripts on every second. So what we're doing now is creating, that is why I take in a lot of coppers who monitor to TikTok. So immediately we see ugly thing that is coming from Nigeria. Morally, we flag it, and to be sincere, they drop it.
Okay. So there's synergy.
There's synergy between us. For multi-choice DSTV, they in fact have to send the certificate given to them by stakeholders before they can hear it, for them to confirm whether it is genuine, because there is another level that we classify. We can classify your film. Okay. Fine. But then some who did not classify fake certificate and give it to DSTV. So the DSTV always confirm from us. Feedback. So we tell them this certificate is fake, is not issued by us, and they draw the film. So there's a strong synergy between some parents call us and report issues to us. We take action. 3 days back we were in Kano. Duplication of Chinese and India films and dubbing them into Hausa languages. That's killing our, what is it called? Our local industry.
We see that
on
a
that
lot.
side. On that side is killing
it. And not just only Hausa, even Yoruba.
Even Yoruba. Yes. But what we're doing is we're working with the embassies, and you see the negative effect is so huge, because if you look at it, it will drop our intellectual property ratings in the world.
In as much as, sorry to hold your thoughts there, which is one thing, I'm not trying to say I'm on the side of the filmmakers who are trying to buy audience to, because have you, tried to talk to these producers who are, doing the translation in either Hausa or Yoruba? Because you may want to consider rather, maybe, I'm not saying you shouldn't sanction people who are doing something wrong. Maybe they're trying to attract audiences from those certain regions. Is that some of the reasons they give?
You see, the issue is those who perpetrate in illegality, to us we call it uncensored and unclassified works.
Yes.
To general parlance, they know it as piracy. They're like faceless.
Okay. Yes.
So we equally try as much as possible to track the faceless down. Nobody comes and say, I'm an armed robber.
Okay.
Come and tell me, or come and, so that they can assist in how to track those things down. We were attacked in Kano just last week. Serious attack. They attacked us, they attacked the police. We're still in the case.
Because you were trying to stop that.
Because we were trying to stop. So it's a big business that needs a lot of cooperation between all of us, media.
Because yes,
you understand.
Adebola wants to come in now.
Okay.
You talked about the media getting involved, because some of these movies, the Indian movies that we see being translated either in Yoruba or Hausa, they are being transmitted on channels that are under certain satellites. Have you reached out to those channels?
Yeah, we have done that, and you see, when we reached out to them, it's a one step. The second step is
stopping them from even doing
that's even the stop one. The second step is having discussion and engagement with the embassies, with the Chinese embassy, with the Indian embassies, and every other thing, so that they can, because their even duty is to protect the intellectual property rights and everything of their own citizens.
Yes.
So it's compulsory. They have to work with us, and that's exactly why we are engaging now. But you see, some of those things that we've been able to do, I might not be able to say because I'm in public, and your hidden action to achieve positive things at times, you don't release it. Not even to all the staffs. At the directorial level, we discuss it. With few presidents of guilds and associations that we have been able to professionalize, we discuss it. And with police, who equally gives us a lot of backup, we discuss it. But in public, we will not be able to do it because we're going to have a massive raid. The first one I did when I came in was the Alaba raid, which we seized well over billions of.
You may want to put your phone on silent.
No, my phone is not.
Yours.
My phone is not. It's not
okay,
mine.
Go ahead.
I don't have a phone here.
All right, let me come in now. I know you have what we call maybe spy police. You work with Nigerian police. Then can you tell us how strong, or tell us about the act that established you? I know you've been visiting the National Assembly, your nomenclature, the organogram, everything like that. Can you tell us what you are doing to have more energy, more power, more force to do your job?
In the first place, you talk about the police interactions. It's part of capacity building. We have, as we speak, we have about 137 already staff trained who are spy police.
Okay.
As we're talking, 43 are in the police college, Ikeja.
Wow.
Taking the same training. This is simply to enforce and to monitor, because there are a couple of things. Until I became one too, I didn't know. There are a couple of things when you go into operation, you just don't do bidi. There are steps you must take so that by the time they are asking you in court, you'll be able to answer. You'll be able to defend yourself and say you have done the right thing. So the police are really doing well for us on that. And when it comes to the other aspects, which you said, the legislative, we've gone into Honorable Debumi, who has the Committee on Information and Ethics, has presented a bill to reform our act. Since 1993, nothing has been done aside from the injection of the import and export of the film industry, where you need permission before you could import or export, and of course for crew coming. So we've gone through the first reading, second reading, and the public listing. I think is now between the inner caucus in the Senate and the House of Rep to pass it. By the time that is done, it's going to have a lot of, a lot of covers on the film industry, because what we rely on as we speak now is the mandate that gives us that after our mandate, I said any other function relating within the film ecosystem. So that's specifics. The one. No, not specific, but the one coming that has been done by the legislator, and I must commend them as well, is fantastic. So that's what we are relying. I hope before the end of next year, it should be out, and I'm very sure the president is passionate about the film industry and the creative industry generally. is going to give his assent to it.
Okay. Part of, I know it has already passed second reading and you're waiting for the final passage, but part of the review that has been carried out on the Act, penalties for offenders, has that been reviewed? Because if there are no strict penalties, people will keep defaulting.
Yeah, you are right. I'll give you an example. In 2017, when I came in, I raided Alaba and whatsoever. And of course, Funke Akindele's film alone, about 500 million watts naira. 500 million watts. That's what I seized. And we've been going to court. And if you look at the penalty is 500,000 or 3 months imprisonment.
That they can pay off.
Or both.
Okay.
But even at that, we have not had judgment. We're still going to court in 5 years now. We're still in court. So such a thing can always give anybody the courage to do whatever, and they say at worst, even if we caught. But then the bad side to them is we're going to seize all those things and we're going to make life unbearable for the person. There are other laws that has been, because when you leave my side, I can pass the same case to Copyright Commission.
Okay.
So copyright can pass the same case to me. So while copyright is dragging you here, National Film and Video Censors Board is dragging you here. So we make that miserable for them not to go into it. But all well and said, a criminal will always be a criminal. They'll still do it, but we always equal the game.
Okay, recently, just now that we're discussing, you talked about imports and exports. Like they have in Ghana, for you as an artist or a filmmaker to enter Ghana, you must take permission from
the Ghana authority.
Yes, yeah. But I don't think we have that. Or do we have a policy like that in Nigeria?
Yes, and this is what I said. And I've had interactions with the stakeholders. One thing happened. They wrote from Ghana that we cannot. They wrote to Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
And the Foreign Affairs sent it to the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture that we cannot. That we should let our Nigerian audience, stakeholders know that immediately they are coming to Ghana, even if it's to carry a camera, they must go through Ghana Film Authority. Talk less of acting or using a particular space. But we have it too, because the act that seeks and every other thing, So, and basically, there's this one in the act, import and export. So when you look at importation, it covers even the movement and things like that. And I think Nigeria is so generous to our stakeholders and even equally the people in the other world. Couple of days back, ideally when they are coming, we're supposed to grant the permission and pass that to the minister, for the minister to know that this number of people are coming into this country. But some of them are still offenders. They will not do it. Because none. I don't want to mention, but a couple of them, we bring in investors here, stakeholders here, they will shoot, they will come for premiere, they will come for all manner of things without recourse to us, for us to tell the Minister of Information. Ideally, the Minister of Information and Culture is supposed to authorize the coming in and going out of those people. But you see, some certain things, when it happens, we just need discussion for them to understand more and take it to the higher step. Because as it is, you cannot go into Rwanda and carry a camera. You will not be allowed. You can't go to South Africa for premiere and even carry a shot. You have to rent the camera within and employ those who are working on the camera for you. Job creation for the people.
Yes, but Mr. Thomas, from what you're saying, it boils down to policies, because policies strengthen whatever job you want to see happen. And if it's not well implemented, it's not like, from what you're saying, we don't have these policies. But implementation, from what you're saying, is the challenge here.
Yeah, but you see, at times when we...
But what are you doing as the head of the board to ensure that these policies are well implemented?
A few days back, I was about stopping a premiere.
Okay.
Because I'm shocked that foreigners, about 50, can come into this country without NVCB knowing, without the Minister of Information knowing, to do what? And in such a large gathering, what if anything happens? But then, the government is not to kill business. in as much as we want to execute our mandate, we equally try as much as possible to educate them and give them samples and warning. Law is not to kill. Law is to guide and straighten the society. A police officer should be able to say, this is the way, don't go this way. But instead of waiting for the person to commit that offense. So we're doing that so that we don't kill the growing business. We know that not understanding law, how do they put it, is not an excuse. Ignorance of law is not an excuse. But then we need to use other methods to correct the people who are doing right. And especially, I think I've had a couple of times, they say first offenders. So they leave them and things like that. So the policies on ground, we must give it to the government that they've been able to do the worthy for the industry within this period. The industry has never grown. Between this administration period, it has never witnessed such growth.
Okay. Let me hold your thoughts there because we have to go on a break. And when we come back, I know Adebola wants to pick up with that. So let's go on a break.
Pleased that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondent, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Agwe.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years. If she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is there, Paris?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
Thank you for staying tuned. We're still discussing the creative industry and national growth. Adebola, you want to pick up with where Mr. Thomas left off. He was talking about the law.
Exactly. No, not just the law. He said the industry has grown so much under this administration. I want to ask, just like they say, to whom much is given,
much is expected.
Can you give us the statistics where you are talking about your contribution, the contribution of the creative industry, maybe more of the film industry to the gross domestic products of this country?
The gross domestic product, I'll not be able to give you the rough figure now because, as you know, it grows on a daily basis, and I've been on field.
Yes, it's assets.
As assets, today we are second, and we still remain the sector that employs the highest number of labor in this country. We're doing far better off than almost all the sector in this economy.
Yes.
Because on a daily basis, you can imagine, even on credit, when you watch a film, you can see the credits. Those credits doesn't come like that. They are being paid.
They're being paid, yeah.
So we do a lot of monetary circulation within the industry. That's even difficult. I'm very sure it will be extremely difficult for even FIRS to track it down. And that's what the film industry is all about. Somebody's going to eat, water, costume, makeup. There's nothing you want to talk about in this industry, even studying other industry, because before you could even act like a police, you need a script. You need to understand that act, and you need to go into the police to get more knowledge. So you see, we educate, we inform, we provide job opportunity for low and high. Somebody sweeps the floor, somebody carries the camera, too many things. So you being an industry that is so large and with such massive, what is it called? Massive trend of growth with the ease of doing business, then you can imagine what that means. And for us to be able to move even from the local to become the second largest in the world, it has not taken a small leap. And I said earlier on, there is nowhere, quote me, since 2017, we are still CinemaCon. The CinemaCon is a gathering of who is who in the film business. It's always every year in Las Vegas in the US. We remain the best content producer in the world.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the competitiveness nature. I was telling you, as in of Nigerian movies in the international world.
Oh, we're like par. The only few things that is happening now is that probably the US is still above us in a little, and yet
in terms of technicalities,
in terms of technology, and probably South Africa, but in terms of content and the energy and the acting form and every other thing, Nigeria still
screams.
Script writing and every other thing. So what we just need is developing our capacity on a daily basis and acquiring the technical know-how, because on a daily basis camera changes.
I must say, Mr. Thomas, we must give it to the creative minds in Nigeria. They're really doing well.
They're doing
well. That frontier was opened when they started seeing the need to partner, and investors started seeing the need to invest more in the industry. But the board, the credibility of the board depends largely on the consistency of decision making. Now, I'm talking about classifications in terms of quality standards, setting the standards. The board rather has the different classifications when it comes to content that will be churned out for the public. How daunting can it be, and what is the level of compliance when it comes to regulation, ensuring that people adhere to those classifications?
Yeah, we do. You see, one of the first things that I do in terms of people are there to the policy on ground is professionalizing the industry. When I came, we have about 2,300. The president is the husband, the wife is the treasurer, the in-law is, So I said, this cannot work. Bring your registration and let's start looking into it, because NFVC is mandated to equally look into that as well. Because if you are not a professional, you are not qualified to submit a film for review.
Yes.
It's in section 17, subsection 2
of the Act.
So at the end of the day, we professionalize the industry, and we have only 20 now.
Wow. Trimmed down
to 20. So you need to be a member
of one of the
board.
Okay.
If you say you want to be an independent person, then you don't have the right to enjoy the privileges and benefits of being a professional.
But are they complying to this classification?
No, to an extent, to over 70%, I must give it to them that they are. And even above that, the few ones we still have, there is nowhere. You can only bring down the number of criminals. You cannot eradicate criminals in all fields of life. And that's exactly why I said it is. And for the first time, we need to put this on record. I'm not saying somebody has performed badly or somebody has not performed anything. My own performance will be judged when I leave the seat. But for the first time, and that was why I said it took the president from 2015 to 17 to study and look at a lot of things that is wrong with the industry before I was appointed. And for the first time since the creation of National Film and Video Censors Board, the only appointment that has been done to head that place as a professional in that industry is myself.
Based on your background as a theater?
Oh, yes, of course. That's my job. So, film industry don't need anybody. You say consistency. If any other government come, it should be consistent. Like, how can a carpenter or a lawyer go and head the medical industry? It shouldn't be. The president has been able to straighten it now. So subsequent governments should follow. This is the professional field. it needs a professional who is in that field. I'm the first professional since the creation of National Film and Videos that has to be employed. It has nothing to do with civil service. It has nothing to do with any politics. The president looked at it very well before he could do that. So if we follow that, consistency is law. And there are a couple of things in that act that has not been followed ever since the creation. So at times when I'm discussing with the stakeholders, they say, no, we're not going to agree on this. And I say, bring the Bible or the Quran that is governing us. And that's when they started saying it. Oh, we need to read this. We've printed thousands of our acts to stakeholders several times. So keep reading, keep doing it. So as of today, there is no way you can pick me up in that act that will not be able to explain and expand. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been placed to look into an industry that I'm a practitioner. I must study, I must know the policy well. And where there are faults or issues, it takes, let me give you an example. They said, the act gives me right when you submit a film for that, it's 30 days. If you like, go to court. No, it's not going to work.
Are those films being rated?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes, of course. Okay. Except the ones that didn't pass through us. The ones we go and arrest and things like that. But I said, no, side, I remember in the course of this thing, but what we do, let me give you an example. Instead of you coming to the office to report that you want to go to a cinema house to do classification or to do monitoring, and you still come back, I say, no, don't do that. Go from your house straight.
Online assessments.
Yeah, go straight to that cinema from your house. Don't go to the office. Just register today. You are going to a particular cinema. Do whatever you want to do there. From there, go home.
You get the feedback.
No, on the following day, you cannot come to the office and we start discussing what to come. Instead of coming to the office.
What about adopting an app? Have you thought of that?
No, we
could just, marry all the whole.
Yes, we equal some things. You see, when you do it, you only need to send your report. But when you send your report, you equally need to discuss with other teams so that they can understand. Are you putting that
into consideration?
No, it's not that I'm putting into consideration.
Okay.
It's online. Okay. We are equally online. Submission is being done online.
Wow.
This thinking outside the box, that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Okay.
This happened during COVID. When everybody were shut down, about 10 staffs, we were working on a daily basis, and we have the highest number of censorship.
I remember your mobile cinema or something like that.
Thank you. We take it even during COVID. I cook for my staff. It's a duty that I have to cook for 10. Wow. Wake up in the morning, do their breakfast and their lunch because my family are not here. Put it in the car. The driver drops me, then go and pick other 10 staffs, and we walk. So it's thinking outside the box, where that's what finally gave us the impetus to be online and to say people can submit online and you can quickly reach us as much as you want. Every time, if you want an emergency, what is it called? Fast track, Fast track censorship or classification. It's there online. We do it. You pay government, and that's all.
All right. Let me say thank God for a square peg in a square hole. But let's now look at one of the lessons COVID has taught us, which is digitization or digitalization. Can you tell us where you are talking about the library, the backup we have? Do you have anything like, have you tried to digitize?
You see, when we're looking at, the government came in when the global economy was seriously down. Okay. And the only much revenue we rely on then was crude oil, and it crashed. So generally, this administration suffered less revenue compared to the massive things they needed to do, which of course they eventually did, but it wasn't an easy task. Digitalization, we've now had online. As we speak, people are in Lagos recording our library, taking inventory. So we're trying to have a 10 to 15 minute shot of what we have so that we can invite investors, donors who will help us to digitalize the material. If not, we're going to lose a lot. I had an interaction with Tunde Kelani a couple of weeks back, and he has lost over 3,000 collections because at a point he didn't even know where he needs to keep them, the space and things like that. So he just has to discuss it. And it happened to almost all the majors, and it's almost happening to us. But we're looking into, we've started that we take an inventory of it first.
Adebola just mentioned cloud.
I want to know if you are just here or you also have a presence in the cloud.
We have a presence in the cloud of recent based on the online submission.
Okay.
But for those ones that has not been online submission, that's what we are looking for, a way now to do restoration, because some of them are damaged. Restoration, then digitalize, so that we can be in the world.
There are other countries who are really thriving in that aspect. Is the board looking at partnering with some of those countries?
Yeah, some of my travels, we go on classicals. We start going on classical film festivals because of our old films. This classical films festival gives a lot of money to films that are old enough to be categorized as classicals. And in that gathering, we always meet donors. Presently, I'm talking to the Hungarian National Film Institute in Hungary, the government agency, the regulatory agency. How? Because they restore and digitalize cheaper. So we're looking into, I've proposed to them, probably they need to come and assess what we have. Then I'll present it to my minister. This is the situation.
You may also want to consider Egypt, because they have a production city there.
I know you did a lot about that.
Well, we consider that. We consider everybody, even in Nigeria, those who can help us, we would not mind. If you are to invest in any other place as your corporate social responsibility, we'll plead with you to do that. But we have to look for the cheapest to do that.
Okay, now, we know that Nollywood is doing well in terms of job opportunities and all of that. And when it comes to engaging the public to know the kind of content they're being consumed, how far has the board gone in terms of, educating, sensitizing? Because it is part of your mandate to educate and sensitize the public on the kind of content they consume. What has been done in that regard?
Yeah, we've done a lot in that, which is equally a new one. We created what is called Media Literacy Unit when I came in, and the principal function of Media Literacy Unit is to collaborate with universities and secondary school and give them samples, show them signs, teach them the need, why at a particular age they shouldn't look at this. And we equally engage the parents. I've gone round well over 2 universities in each of the states. That's 36 times. 2.
That's like 72.
Yeah. So I'm working in collaborations with ABU, with Kanu, with LASU, with Igbinedon, with just mention universities all over the 6 geopolitical. We have what we call media literacy and capacity building. This is where we tell them, we educate them. And every time when we have opportunities like this, on this other one, the head of units of media literacy in all the states collaborate with secondary school to go and teach those. Because when we grew in and when we were in university, there is nothing like media literacy.
Okay.
So when I saw the gap, we established that, and it's all around the country. So they collaborate with secondary schools and every other one. The other platform you use is probably the one you're providing as journalists, as media, so that for us to be sure that we take care of our children. Government takes care when a child gets to a particular level, but before that level, it has to do with the parents and guardian. And we should not lose the value of Africa, in Africa, that a child is being raised by the entire village. It's not because of the money, it's because the child of Mr. A is doing something wrong, and the parent, Mr. B, happened to see it, he cautioned the child.
Yes.
When we're growing up, after NTA news, 7 o'clock, you have to go to bed. It's a standard thing for us at home. People who comes to watch news come in before 7, and after that 7 o'clock news, NTA news, everybody goes back to their home.
Okay, we're gradually winding down. Adebola, you want to go with your final question?
I just want to ask you maybe my final question now. I remember you started with I've forgotten the name, where you bring university students in theater art. You did something like that in Jos. Did you drop it? And how has that impacted?
No, we continue. That is a Santa and the student platform with academics. That's the academic side. We continue. And in fact, as a matter of fact, that was what brought us to having a book published once in a year, Regulation in Nollywood, which is a contribution of the lecturers in all universities. So we always have a book, and the second edition is coming out this year, which is a collection of essays on film and the industry by lecturers, so that students can make use of it.
All right, let me hear your final thoughts. What is the vision you are saying, for the Nigerian film industry and for the board?
Well, you've said it. I don't know how you got to know what is in my mind. You said the film industry is a new oil. That's my vision. Yeah. With good policy that has been said by the president, and with the one coming out now from the National Assembly, which is modification of our acts. Whoever is keeping his or our money should just go and withdraw it and come into the film industry. That's the best that can happen to anybody in this world. By the time I finished, inshallah, I'm going back, because I knew what the government has done, the policy the president has created to favor us, and I'm seeing what is in the industry, and I'm seeing the inflow of the inbox, the cinema inbox. Even the DVD market is huge. It's still huge, because we don't use DVD player to cook vegetable in Africa. We use it to watch a film. And you can get the statistics of what is coming in as DVD player from the Nigerian customs. You will know that the DVD market is still huge. The streaming is growing. The cinema is growing. Then you have a place in the film industry.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adedayo Thomas, for your insightful, input in this conversation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Adebola, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you on platform.
I hope when next you see Mr. Thomas, maybe you'll be saying Oba Thomas. I don't know.
Okay. He's trying to tell me something.
I'm telling you
but
something.
wish you the very best.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank
and
you.
keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, we've been talking about the creative industry, Nigeria creative industry, and national growth. No doubt the creative industry has come to stay. And while we harness our vast potential, let ours, that is talking to the filmmakers now, adhere to due diligence. That's Platform. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.
Watch NTA International live on your TV.